Hi everybody, welcome to Tarot Down Under. I'm coming to you from deep quarantine in Australia. So special welcome to the intrepid viewers, you know who you are. Any new people, hope you like it. If you're a Trump supporter, please don't hang around because you won't like it. You'll think I'm an evil left-wing witch and I'll think you're a deluded cult member. Just wouldn't work. Right, so back to the rest of us who inhabit the real world. Let's go. So today I want to cover what if the Yeti doesn't accept the election outcome, which seems to be the question du jour. Also, what's happening with the NRA. What else was there? Oh, there's more, of course. There's so much more. Okay, so we're going to kick off now. I think I'll kick off with the NRA because Letitia James in New York has identified extensive fraud that has been going on really since forever. And she is tossing up which way to go with this. At the moment, it's still a civil suit. Will charges be laid? I want to know. You know, Wayne Pierre and Wayne Lepierre and the various others. So let's dive in there and see what's happening with the NRA case. The NRA. Weird. It's all very weird, is it not? So the NRA, what's going to happen to Letitia James and the NRA? All right. I'm using the old school Rider-Waite. Oh, bless. All right. Hope you can see, because once again, I'm improvising. I'm sleeping on a fold-out sofa. Oh, you won't believe this, viewers. It's all about money. Oh, who would have dreamt these people would be so shallow? Right, okay. Now, okay, this is very, very entrenched stuff. The Ten of Pentacles is about family money, so to speak. So this is speaking of the NRA as a family. And when we're speaking of the NRA in this context, we're talking about the executive. It's my first digression, viewers. It's supposed to be a non-profit organisation. I mean, please, you know. And they've been living these lavish lifestyles. So this is talking about the upper echelons of the NRA and keeping the money in-house and going around and having very nice lives on the backs of their everyday members. Right? So this is past thinking on the issue. And that's nostalgia. So the NRA sees itself as representing the great American narrative, you know, looking back with nostalgia to the days when everything was great. And if it was so great, why does everyone have to be armed to protect themselves from everyone else in their own community? I don't know. As an Australian, I don't understand that. But as Americans, I'm sure you will. So it embodies the right to bear arms and all that story that all goes together. Past actions. Well, their past actions were all about collecting money, right? It's not actually about moral issues to do with gun ownership and responsible gun ownership or anything about anything. It's just about money in order to service the upper echelons. So what's coming into view? Temperance. Now, they're not particularly temperate, if there's such a word, because this is the card of moderation and harmony and gorgeous things. So in this sense, what it's speaking of is it's out of whack. It's out of sync. It's stopped. It might have been 40, 50, 70 years ago. It might have been about responsible gun ownership and similar things, but it's not anymore. So the atmosphere around this issue, they would be having some sleepless nights. This is Letitia James, armed with a very direct and effective club, right? So I think this is going to go further, but this is her initial action. Aces are initiating things. This is her throwing down the gauntlet. So the outcome for the NRA is not marvellous. You'd have to think. They have betrayed all those regular punters who have paid their $20 a year or $100 a year. I don't know how much people donate to the NRA, but whatever they've donated, in good faith, I might not agree with their motivations, but in good faith, they've given it to the NRA to represent them, and they've been stabbed in the back. Right? So to just finish that off, my question is, will there be charges? Let's have a look. Will there be charges? Will there be charges? Right. Will there be charges laid? If there's any justice, there will be, but that's not the question. Will charges be laid? Lay this across here. So, I'm not entirely convinced there will be. This is the unwelcome offer. There is the card of delusion, and then the card of working it out. The Two of Cups, working it out. So I think what might happen is Letitia James might say to them, meaning the top echelons of the NRA executive, and it's the treasurer and their lawyer and Wayne LePierre, the three main ones. She might make them some sort of offer or plea deal. They're deluded enough to think they don't need it, and they'll just badmouth her, of course. But in the end, I think they might take a plea deal, and that could be dobbing in each other or saying, I didn't want to do it, but like the lawyer might say, I didn't want to do it, but I was pressured or something. I think they'll start to turn on each other, the big three. I think there will be some sort of legal outcome, but I don't know that it's going to be really satisfying. But that could be an okay thing, because it's easy for the conspiratorial right to say, look, this is just another New York liberal attacking us, the great American people of the NRA. Maybe it's just better for the mud to go out and for them to get angry in their own right at their own people. Wouldn't that make a change? Actually focused on the people who are shafting them instead of blaming everyone else. That would be my preferred outcome. But we will see as it all goes forward. Okay, so there'll be something, but not quite enough, All right, so I want to look quickly at, because I covered last time the moratorium on the evictions and so forth. So let's see what's going to happen here with these job numbers and the actual story that Trump's going to tell about how the economy is picking up. I think that's a more interesting question. So he's pleased these job numbers have come out saying there are 1.8 million people went back to work last month. Okay, that'd be all right if 1.86 million hadn't lost their jobs last month. You with me? Did you catch that up? Exactly the same number, only a little bit more lost jobs than got them. In other words, they're behind from where they were a month ago. And that's not even including the people who don't qualify or who are defeated by the process of applying, and you know, it's just rubbish. Okay, so let's see, how is Trump and the GOP going to spin the economy? How are they going to spin the economy for this next sort of election cycle? How are they going to make it sound good? Let's have a look. How's Trump going to spin the economy? Which is absolutely in the toilet. Wheel of Fortune. Wheel of Fortune. They're strategizing. Well, what I think here is, here we have the Wheel of Fortune, karma and destiny, and the great spin of the cosmic wheel, right? So, to a certain extent, they're almost leaving it to chance. They're hoping that people will be bamboozled by figures like I just talked about. Oh, 1.8 million people went back to work. They're not hearing about the rest. So they're leaving it to chance to a large extent. In other words, they can't actually emphasize the specifics. So they're going to use other tactics to talk it up. And that includes Trump. This is the King of Wands card, who's normally a generous, sensible, sane person. I think he's going to try and get someone else to talk about the economy, not him. Well, he doesn't understand the economy. He only understands debt. So expect another spokesperson to come forward on the economy. I don't think it's... oh, who's the guy in the Treasury? I don't think it's Mnuchin. It could be, but it's someone else like that to sound very sensible. When they've got nothing to say, they've got to have someone say nothing in a convincing manner, right? The Two of Wands is about strategy and planning, and this is what they're planning to do, I think. Try and keep feeding Trump figures that don't have to be explained, because he can't explain anything. So this is a major part of their strategy. The problem they've got is justice. And I think this has two meanings here. Justice in the sense that finally, after 4 years, all these court cases are going against the trumpet, right? So there's that pressure that people will start, it's harder to avoid the fact that he's going to be charged with all these things. So that's one aspect of the justice. The other is real human home justice. People understand that they have no money. So no amount of spin from the new spin doctor, the King of Wands, is going to cut it, because people are living another reality where they can't afford to stay in their own homes, rented or owned. Food scarcity in America. It was always hidden, it's always been there, but now it's so widespread. And it's really timely to remember, while we're talking about justice, that here are the figures. Before COVID, 80% of Americans were living paycheck to paycheck. 50% of Americans were in low-paid service jobs. That was before COVID. So when people go, oh, I wanted to get back to normal, really think deeply about that. Aim higher than what was, because what was not just. And this is part of the bigger picture justice coming forward now. Okay, there's going to be justice about income inequality, where America does lead the world. Okay, so the question about how are they going to spin it, they're going to say it's fine, absolutely fine. Why not get married? This is the wedding card. Celebrate. What's the problem? And I think this sort of business as usual, everything's okay. It looked bad, now it's all right. This is what people aren't going to believe anymore. Finally, we've got to that stage where people aren't going to buy it anymore. And I have to say, I think that's a good thing. So they're going to just say, oh, get on with this, fine. Not fine. And the final card, the King of Cups, this is often my Biden card. I think Biden to some extent will be left to mop up the illusion of this whole thing. Well, of course he will. When he gets in, he will have to mop up everything. But fortunately, I think he has a killer team, excuse me, of very competent people. Did you see where Jared is now being referred to in the Lincoln ads as the Secretary of Failure? All his portfolios have collapsed. I love that idea. So thank you, Lincoln Project. Okay. So I'm going to use my nasty Russian cards now because I'm getting on to what's Trump going to do, or what are people going to do when Trump doesn't leave office? Look, if by some miracle he's still there for the election and he has to get through August, September and October, that's 3 months from here, and every day he's looking weaker, madder, less credible. So if by some miracle he's still there, of course, as everyone's been saying, if he is still there, he's going to refuse to accept the outcome. So let's find out my take on that. What is he likely to do? This is Trump after losing the election. What's he going to do? Okay. I'll tell you in a minute. Oh my word. Yeah, maybe we'll see. I think the central card says it all, right? This is the Six of Pentacles, the card of childhood nostalgia. We just got it a minute ago in the other deck. But here's what's different, because this is a darker deck. I think he's going to be so crazy by then. Like, I'm talking the pentothal shots and the white jacket type crazy by then. He's going to actually revert to childhood. I think he's going to become a blubbering child. Oh, that won't be attractive. Oh, Lord. Oh. The Six of Wands, get me out of here. Just get me out of here. All the fight will be gone. He'll be leaving somebody fighting for him, probably Barr. That's my next question. Remind me. How's Barr going to deal with this? This is Trump. He's going to become an absolute child and go, just get me out. Like, I want to go home, sort of really sad stuff. Ooh. Okay. Here's the Ten of Cups. This is in the past. This is normally, you know, happy families card, but I think this is gorging on the trough of the American people. I think this is one figure, but it's the whole Trump family, right? Gorging and pigging at the trough. Then over this read, what's Trump going to do? You have the Five of Wands, which is fighting with other people and getting nowhere, but also inner conflict in the head. These three cards in a row, what I call his through line here, about him actually clinically losing the plot. Oh my word. Now, short-term outcome, this is the Three of Cups here. This, I think, will be there'll be three people left behind to try and handle the takeover. So that to let the new administration in and somehow negotiate to get the now completely MAD Yeti out. They'll need a tranquilizer gun, and I think this is working out how to do that thing. The Two of Pentacles, what's crossing the outcome card is, in other decks, it's juggling and manipulation. In this deck, it's not wanting to be seen doing the juggling and the manipulation. So this card is what they'll be doing behind the scenes, and this is why they're doing it. But while I've got these delicious cards out, the real question, now I think about it, is not what Trump's going to do or not do, it's what is Barr prepared to do. Because Trump, at the end of the day, is a, washed up carnival barker. It's Barr who's truly dangerous, because if there was a functioning non-partisan DOJ, America wouldn't be in the trouble it's in, but it doesn't have one because of Barr. So I think this is more of a Barr question than a Trump question. What is Barr going to do when Trump loses? Because he's going to lose, that's not the issue. Just as Hillary won, and it wasn't the issue, because your elections are so weird and unreliable and convoluted and stuff, the whole thing has to shift and change. It will, because of this. So what's Barr going to do when Trump loses? What's Barr going to do when Trump loses? What's Barr going to do when Trump loses? Oops. What's Barr going to do? All right. Oh, of course he is. Well, the first thing he's going to do, this is the Moon card in the deep, misty streets of Moscow. How appropriate, is it not, intrepid viewers? So he's going to fudge and obscure as much as he can. I've said before, there's nothing busier than a paper shredder in the White House, and this is that sort of thing. He's going to try and fudge his involvement at every level. The problem for him is he's on a timeline. This is Father Time. Time is ticking. Time is running out. Time is not his friend. It's now December, early January 2021. He has not got enough time. He is going to call in the mercenaries. This is the card of the mercenary, literally. So there is a threat of having some sort of militarized action he's going to attempt. But I think America will be saved, let's hope. People want to believe in the America that was, even if it wasn't a particularly factual memory, right? So they do want to see where America managed to have elections and the peaceful transfer of power. This is right next to the mercenary. People don't like the idea of mercenaries in their street. They want this idea of having a peaceful election. Everyone understands it's not a normal election, but I don't think the militarization will be tolerated at that point. And here are the leaks. I think even from within the mercenary group, which could be these federal agents posing in their Desert Storm outfits, there could even be a leak from them saying things like, we've been told to go to New York on the 4th, and we've been told to go to Chicago on the thing. I think it'll be leaked. There's the journo talking to the person giving information. So Barr's going to try all sorts of tricks, starting with fudging. But this is serious fudging. This is, you know, really working at screening people from the truth. And it isn't going to work, I'm pleased to report. Having said that, it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be pretty, but we have to all acknowledge the fact that our lives have been as good as they have been because of other people who fought the revolutions before us. Revolutions aren't easy things. We romanticize them in retrospect and think, oh yes, the revolution, you know. But people didn't go to bed thinking, oh, you know, wow, revolution. Let me just share something with you. This was from Ali Velshi, MSNBC. And he said if revolutions hadn't taken place, the US would still be a British colony, slavery would still be legal, women wouldn't be allowed to vote, and you could still be fired for being in love with someone who's the same gender you are. And that isn't an exhaustive list, that's just 4 big things that come to mind. So everything that's happened to make our lives better has come because other people were prepared to stand up for us when we were the young things and the future generation. So it's our time, collectively, which is why, beloved viewers, you have to stay strong, stay healthy, and have rests from the madness. You know, have time out from the news. I'd really encourage you to try and consume more news in print. Every CNN video and everything that's out there, you can get the print version. And it's not as distressing as all these barking heads going at you, you know. But also time out. Please take time out. And you have to actually anticipate these feelings of tension and fear and real anxiety and stuff, and put your resilient strategies to work. You know, having friends who are like-minded online, taking time out in nature, really resting up when you can, resting the visual brain too. Because if you're spending 16 hours a day worried, you could be spending 1 hour a day putting positive energy to the other side of the revolution, that you will be part of wanting to make America more egalitarian again than having the biggest wealth gap in the entire world that the world has ever known, which is your business as usual. You don't want to go back to business as usual. Brand new day, brave new world. So try and convert some of that negative energy. Do the breathing. I'm sure you're all onto it. You know how to do deep breathing. If not, there's 2 million videos how to just breathe and let that go through your body and away from your body, and visualize something infinitely more positive, because you can do it. I know you can. And I love you so much. So I'll be reporting to you from my new hole in the wall in quarantine. And I can't tell you how much I love you. Besitos. Ciao now.